A promise made, but has it been kept? The clock has run out on a high-profile Second Amendment review ordered by President Donald Trump, and no public report has emerged. Well, today I'm going to dive into why Attorney General Pam Bondi's 30-day deadline came and went with silence, and what it means for gun rights here in America. Hello everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell notification. And on this channel, I will bring you the latest news and analysis on issues that matter to the Second Amendment. Now, before I break down today's story, a quick shout out to our sponsor, Blackout Coffee. If you love coffee as much as you love the Second Amendment, Blackout Coffee has you covered. They're a small, Patriot-owned company in Florida offering a variety of roasts that'll keep you alert and ready. Blackout Coffee is all about supporting our constitutional rights. We've even partnered with Second Amendment Foundation, Gun Owners of America, and Firearms Policy Coalition. Check out the link in the description below and use our code GNG10 for a discount on your order. By supporting Blackout Coffee, you're also supporting this channel, so thank you. Now back to the news. On February 7th of 2025, President Donald Trump signed an executive order titled Protecting Second Amendment Rights. This order directed newly confirmed Attorney General Pam Bondi to review a wide range of federal gun regulations and policies from the Biden era. She was tasked with examining all orders, regulations, guidance plans, international agreements, and other actions from January 2021 through January 2025 that might infringe on Americans' Second Amendment rights. Crucially, the order gave Bondi 30 days to present a plan of action to the president on how to protect Second Amendment rights of all Americans. Now, President Trump's directive put Biden-era regulations under the microscope. Bondi's review was to include hot-button policies such as ATF's rules on ghost guns, which are just unfinished firearm parts, and or homemade firearms. Also, pistol braces, both regulatory moves made under President Biden that gun advocates say impinged on Second Amendment rights, and they did, 100%. So, she was also ordered to reconsider the ATF zero tolerance policy for federal firearms licensees. That's a Biden policy that led to some gun dealers losing their licenses over paperwork errors. Notably, that stricter dealer enforcement policy was still being carried out in the early days of the Trump administration, much to the gun industry's chagrin. Now, the review even extended to the administration's stance on ongoing court cases about gun rights, meaning the Justice Department could change its position or stop defending certain Biden-era gun laws in court. In short, nearly every major Biden firearms initiative was up for review. Now, this executive order was a cornerstone of Trump's campaign promises to gun owners. Remember, almost 10 million gun owners were not even registered to vote, and many of them did register to vote because of these campaign promises. Now, on the campaign trail, Trump vowed to reverse Biden's gun control measures immediately, even saying, quote, "Every single Biden attack on gun owners will be terminated in my very first week back in office," end quote. The reality, however, has proven more gradual, if anything at all. While immigration and other issues took priority in week one, the February 7th order was the first big move on gun policy in this new administration. It didn't instantly end any regulations. Instead, it launched a 30-day review to figure out what could be rolled back and how. Now, fast forward to this week, that 30-day deadline has come and gone. Actually, the deadline was March 9th, which was Sunday. Now, the window for Bondi to report back is officially closed, and yet no public report or plan has been released by the Justice Department. The deadline quietly passed without any announcement. There was no press conference, no document dump, nothing on the DOJ website outlining what Bondi found. But should be noted that Donald Trump is actually going to the Department of Justice to meet with Pam Bondi today, and he's actually going to be speaking there. So stay tuned, because we might hear something about her report there. The silence has been widely noted. Major media outlets reported that Bondi missed the deadline, with the absence of news raising eyebrows in Washington. It's possible that Bondi did submit her findings privately to the White House. That's totally possible. In fact, when I inquired on it from people I know on the Hill, I was told this process is being kept very close to the vest and very confidential. So it is very possible that she did submit her findings privately to the White House. and it's possible she's still refining that plan with Trump's team. However, the public's perspective, and especially for gun right advocates, we're all eagerly awaiting action. It appears to us as nothing has happened yet. Now, just days before the deadline, a group of Democrat lawmakers sent Attorney General Bondi a formal letter, essentially urging caution. In the letter, House Judiciary Committee leaders Jamie Raskin, who's a clown, and Lucy McBath, who is a bigger clown if possible, argued that there was plainly no need for any new plan of action to protect the Second Amendment. Now, they contend that the Biden administration's gun regulations were lawful and necessary for public safety, and they voiced concern that rolling them back could put Americans at risk. The Democrats peppered Bondi with detailed questions, asking what criteria she'd use to judge a policy unconstitutional, whether she would publish her findings, and how any changes would avoid increasing gun crime or trafficking. And they set a deadline of March 17th for Bondi to respond to their oversight queries. Now, in short, even as the Second Amendment advocates like myself are pushing for speed, opponents in Congress are warning against hasty rollbacks. When President Trump first signed that executive order on the 7th of February, gun right groups applauded. In fact, Doug Hamlin, who's the executive vice president of the NRA, said promises made to law-abiding gun owners are being kept by President Donald J. Trump. My buddy Aiden Johnston, who's the federal affairs director at Gun Owners of America, he also was excited, and he said that gun owners fought hard for a president who would, quote, take a sledgehammer to Biden's unconstitutional gun control policies, end quote. Now, this initial praise came despite some lingering skepticism by many about Pam Bondi herself. Remember, as the Florida Attorney General, Bondi had supported red flag laws and higher age limits on gun purchases after the Parkland shooting. Her track record made some hardline 2A activists like me very wary. Still, the prevailing mood in the pro-gun circles in February was optimism and high expectations. It's kind of changed here in March. On the other side of the debate, gun control advocates reacted with concern. The Brady campaign's PAC pointed out that they saw a contradiction. They said, quote, didn't Trump just promise the president of Mexico that he would clamp down on gun trafficking, end quote? The group posted pointedly on social media. They argued that rolling back regulations would do the opposite and put more lives at risk. Similarly, Giffords, the gun control organization founded by Gabby Giffords, blasted Trump's order as an unpopular move that would undo life-saving gun measures. In short, anti-gun violence groups warned that this review was a prelude to making it easier for dangerous people to get guns, and they vowed to fight any sweeping changes. Now that the deadline is passed and no public outcome has been heard or seen, reactions are evolving. Second Amendment advocates are growing anxious. Many of us are asking, where's the plan? And we're worried, let's be honest, Americans are worried that the Trump administration might be dragging its feet on undoing Biden-era rules, despite the president's bold promises. Now, some activists fear this could become a replay of past Republican administrations that talk a big game on gun rights, but moved slowly once they're in power. Articles in pro-2A media have even started to ask whether defending the Second Amendment is truly a first-tier priority for Trump at all, or if it's being treated as a secondary issue again. Meanwhile, supporters of gun regulations are somewhat relieved that nothing drastic has happened yet, but they're also staying vigilant. Now, Democrat lawmakers and gun control proponents are likely preparing legal and public relations defenses for if and when Bondi's plan does emerge. They signal that any attempt to weaken gun laws will face fierce opposition. The fact that nothing was announced by day 30 might indicate to them that the issue is more complicated or contentious behind the scenes than the Trump administration anticipated. Now, what's the delay? Why is there a delay? Several factors could be at play here. Some of them you should really understand. Experts and insiders have suggested that Bondi and her team at the DOJ may be taking extra time to ensure that changes that they propose will actually hold up in court because they're going to be challenged. The executive order's scope is broad, covering regulations, enforcement practices, and legal positions in ongoing cases. And unwinding regulations like the ghost gun rule or the pistol brace ban isn't as simple as flipping a switch. Those rules went through formal processes, and some of them are even tied up in active lawsuits as we speak. In fact, the Supreme Court heard arguments for the ghost gun parts regulation last fall in the Vanderstock case, and indications are that the court might uphold at least parts of that rule. And that could drop literally any time between now and the end of June. The Justice Department has to decide its stance, whether to defend Biden's rule or possibly reverse course. Such decisions require careful legal consideration, and the DOJ might be requesting extensions in court cases while it formulates a new position. In one case about gun rights for nonviolent felons, Bondi's DOJ did ask the Supreme Court for more time before deciding whether to continue the appeal. There's also the element of interagency coordination. Trump's orders said that Bondi should present her plan through the domestic policy advisor to the president. That means the White House's policy team is involved in shaping the outcome. Reports indicate that Trump's domestic policy advisor, Vince Haley, and others may be working with the DOJ on how to implement these changes. If there are disagreements internally, say over how far to go in reversing certain rules, that could slow things down. Remember, some of these Biden-era policies, like cracking down on rogue gun dealers, were pitched as public safety measures. And even within the administration, there might be caution about the political fallout of abruptly reversing measures that, in some cases, show had broad support in the polls, but you can't really trust polls. Also, remember, we don't have a Solicitor General yet, and that should be taken care of in the next 2 weeks. And the Solicitor General is actually key in trying to change or lodge any lawsuits in the courts, because that's the person who does that stuff for the Department of Justice. Additionally, Pam Bondi's own approach could be a factor. And this is the one that's going to piss a lot of you off when I say this. Known as a tough former attorney general, Bondi has said she's pro-Second Amendment, but she also says she will enforce the laws of the land. So this needs to be observed here. She may be navigating how to balance enforcement with a new mandate. In one of her first acts as attorney general, she issued a memo shifting some ATF resources away from alcohol and tobacco enforcement toward other priorities like organized crime and immigration. However, that memo explicitly stated that no resources would be taken away from ATF's core gun enforcement responsibilities, meaning the ongoing enforcement of gun laws continued, could have been stopped. This suggests that, at least initially, Bondi did not tell ATF to back off enforcing things like the new federal gun regulations. And many gun rights advocates noticed that. That could also explain the current impatience we have. We've yet to see a concrete shift in how ATF operates on the ground. Now, all eyes are on the Department of Justice and the White House for the next steps. Remember, they're meeting today, and this missing report has become a story of its own, and pressure is mounting for the Trump administration to show its cards. Congressman Raskin and his clown colleagues expect answers from Bondi by March 17th about the review's progress, so we may learn more in the coming days if those questions are addressed at all. It's possible we'll see a public announcement or a press release if and when Bondi's plan of action is finalized. And my light just went out. Well, that could include specific instructions, for example, directing ATF to rewrite or repeal certain regulations, changing how background check laws are interpreted, or shifting the Department of Justice position in lawsuits, like simply dropping government appeals of cases where courts struck down Biden rules. For instance, if Bondi recommends it, the administration could tell the ATF to halt enforcement on the pistol-brace rule while a replacement rule is drafted. They could also announce that the Department of Justice will no longer defend the legality of the ghost gun or frame receiver rule in court. Now, such moves would be significant victories for Second Amendment supporters, but they come with risks, including new legal battles and political blowback. We should also watch for whether the plan touches on older laws and regulations. It should be noted that Trump's order did not direct a review on long-standing unconstitutional, in my opinion, laws like the 1934 NFA or the 1968 GCA, even though we would love to see those revisited. Now, Second Amendment advocacy groups are gearing up for action. If the administration delivers, groups like GOA, SAF, NRA, FPC, NAGR, they'll all certainly celebrate and support the changes. They're also likely preparing legal arguments and public campaigns to defend Trump's forthcoming rollbacks. On the flip side, expect immediate challenges from the crazy gun control mob and some state attorney generals in blue states if federal gun regulations are addressed. Any major policy shift could end up tied up in court with injunctions, meaning it could take some time to actually feel the effects on the ground. One thing to note, guys and gals, President Trump himself is going to weigh in at the DOJ today, so we could hear about this. And he's never been shy about touting his achievements. We know that. If Bondi comes back with a strong Pro-2A action plan, we might see the president announce it today with fanfare, framing it as, fulfilling his promises to gun owners. Now, if he doesn't and delays continue, then we're going to, be even more angry. For now, we're in a holding pattern. The good news is for us that the issue is on the front burner at the highest levels of government. The president says he's made it a priority, and the attorney general is actively working on it. The not so good news is that government processes take time, and it's not clear on how soon this could come to a head. It's a developing story, so stay tuned, guys and gals. As we know, as supporters of the Second Amendment, it's important to stay informed and engaged, and the fact that we're even talking about undoing gun control measures at the federal level is notable. It hasn't happened in decades. I'll keep you updated as soon as I learn more. Make sure you are subscribed and have the notifications turned on so you don't miss that update. If you found this report helpful, please give the video a thumbs up and share it with others who care about these issues. It really does help spread the word. And finally, thanks to Blackout Coffee once again for sponsoring us. If you wanted to support content like this, check out Blackout Coffee. It's in the description below. Support our sponsors. It helps keep the channel going. What do you guys and gals think about the missed deadline? Are you concerned about the delay, or do you think Bondi is just being thorough? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I read as many as I can, and I am very curious where you stand on this. Until next time, stay tuned, stay informed, and stay engaged. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. God bless America. Take care.